Why should you track your emotions? What is the importance of tracking your emotions, and why is it relevant? Interesting, isn't it? Why track your emotions? Well, what we're going to be doing, the reason we want to do that is because we want to become more aware of ourselves, how we operate, how we respond to certain situations that come up, and if we need to improve in specific areas in our life so that we're not responding the same way, we're responding in a more productive way so that we can actually be moving forward rather than allowing our emotions to take control of ourselves. You see, we don't want our emotions to take control of us. We want to take control of our emotions. So what we want to be able to do here is track them. So this is what I did. I've been away on a holiday recently. I've just come back into the swing of things. And before I went away, I tracked my emotions for close to 30 days because I actually wanted to see what was going on leading up to the time that I was actually going to go away, because I went on a golf tour and then I went traveling with my husband in England, and I really wanted to identify what was going on so that when I came back from the trip, I had a bit of a break, a mental break, had a good time and all of that. I actually wanted to see where I was at with regards to my emotions prior to me leaving. So what I was doing is I was going back through where I recorded in my diary, because I thought, well, the best place for me to record it is in my diary, because I've actually got a new diary that I'm using, but I thought I'll record it in my diary so that I keep up to date with the dates and so on, and actually see where I'm at. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share with you what I have actually worked on, what I discovered rather, with having a look at my emotions. I'm going to read out one particular day for you just to show you where I was at, what I was thinking, how I was feeling, so that you can understand that, it's just, you're just recording how you're feeling about things that are going on throughout the day, and whether you've had, some positive responses within yourself or some negative ones, and so on, right? So it's not about being really judgmental of yourself, but it's more about understanding how you're going throughout the day, and what kind of events trigger you, that upset you, and what kind of events actually motivate you and push you forward. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read out a particular day. So this was on May 28th, it was a Monday, about the events that actually happened throughout the day and how I felt and so on. And this is only, the reason that I'm sharing this is to give you an idea of what you can do to track it. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't need a fancy form or anything. You can see that I've just written it in my diary, okay? So just becoming more aware. All right, so this is what I said. I got up early, about 4:40 in the morning, because before I was away, I would always get up very early. Now, I had the plan to get up at 4:15, but I only got up at 4:40, and I set the alarm for that because I was awake, but I didn't sleep very well, so I stayed in bed that little bit longer. But I was really looking forward to getting to the gym early because I wanted to get there by 5 o'clock in the morning for training. I felt a bit tired, but I knew once I got there at the gym and I got on the bike and I did my workout, I would feel much better. It was just showing up, okay? So that was how I was feeling in the morning. I was tired because I hadn't slept well, and I knew that if I got to the gym and actually made myself do an exercise, because there's specific bike trainings that I do, I wanted to make sure that if I just get on the bike and just do the specific training that I've planned on doing, then I'll be fine at the end of that. So so what I said then is I feel when I'm training, I'm able to focus and stay in the zone and get in the flow. So that's a mental state that I find that I can get into. So when I'm training, I find that I can get into a very good mental state because I've trained my mind to do that through many years of playing sport and a lot of meditation and so on. So even though I didn't feel like it, even though I didn't feel like it, it's a bit hard to read my writing, I showed up and made it happen, right? So even though I didn't really feel like going to the gym that morning, and because I felt tired and so on, I still said to myself, okay, let's just show up. So when I then recorded again was, now it's 8 a.m, I'm getting ready to plan the week, because on Mondays I always plan out my week, what I want to achieve, and really set up this week's target. So it's really setting up the goals of what I want to achieve for the week. Now, I had a lot of videos that I had transferred to my new site, and I had done some achievements. So I was really happy with that. Now, the big thing here was I said, because I planned out my day, I found I was in control and very efficient. And I just focused on what had to be done. I had no distractions because I knew what I needed to do. Now, why I'm sharing this with you is because that was how I felt on that particular day. I felt tired in the morning. Then I made myself go to the gym, even though I just didn't really feel like it because I was tired. Showed up, felt so much better, felt proud of myself for being there. And from that point then, when I came home, I felt so much better because then I started to plan out my day, and I felt much more motivated simply because because I planned out my day. I could really then work on achieving what it was that I wanted to achieve throughout the day and work on my goals. So at that time too, I was also writing, my book, which will be released soon, but I was really making sure that I was really focused and zoned in to ensure that I made sure that it was actually happening. I was actually focused on writing the book. I was actually focused on transferring specific types of videos to my website. I was really made sure that I was focused on doing a sports psychology course right now. So I was really making sure that I was focused on doing those activities so that I could really work on achieving what it was that I needed to achieve in that time, because I had a time frame set to have my book finished early June, which I achieved that, which was great. I wrote it in 6 weeks, which I was really proud of, but I was very disciplined. And why I shared that with you about planning out my week and even planning out my day, it always motivated me, because the thing that would get me started was I'd get up in the morning, go to the gym, do a workout, come back, go through a morning miracles routine, which I'll share in another video and podcast. But it got me motivated, right? It got me zoned in, it got me focused, because by doing my morning miracle routine, that really helped keep me zoned in so I could achieve some goals. Because, I know people that have been trying to write books for years, and I was able to do that in 6 weeks because I knew exactly what I needed to do. I had it planned out. I knew exactly when I needed to finish it by. I actually finished the day earlier than planned, which was great, and it was a really good achievement. But like I said, it's very much about the planning. So that's what I was starting to be more aware of when I was writing down in my diary. Okay, so what I did, I just shared with you about what I was writing about in my diary by tracking my emotions. Like I said, I did that close to 30 days in tracking my emotions to see what had happened prior to me going away and taking some time out, going on a golf tour, travelling around the south of England with my husband, which I absolutely love to travel. It's so awesome. You might be the same as me. I love going overseas and travelling around the world. But when I came back, I thought, right, it's time to actually have a look, go back through and see where I'm at with regards to what I was discovering about myself and how I operated, because I tracked. So I went back through each day and had a look at specific areas in which I responded well and I didn't respond very well. So I could then take notes on that so that then I can go, right, okay, I need to make sure that I'm operating in this way, and I need to make sure that I'm not reacting that way, and so that I can make sure that I'm staying focused. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read out to you, it's about half a page of, a summary of what I discovered about tracking my emotions, because the reason I want to share this with you is because you may want to do this activity as well so that you can understand yourself better, okay? So I'm going to share with you what I discovered. So I discovered that I didn't want to play small. I wanted to, or think small. I wanted to make sure that I played really big. I made sure I had big, huge goals so that I really was working on achieving my goals, because I was tired of playing small. I felt like I was playing small. So I wanted to make sure that I was really going after what it was that what I ideally really wanted to do, because I've been going through a transitional period this year of trying to figure out what my next phase of my career is and my business. Now, what I also discovered was I really get fired up when I take action in the same and also in preparation, as it keeps me really focused. I love being focused and consistent. So I love making sure that I'm getting up doing the same things each day, in the sense of being prepared and taking action on achieving what it is that I need to achieve for my business. But I also like being out of my comfort zone as well. So even though I like to be consistent and focused, and at times I can be very structured, I also like the other side of things, where I like to be out of my comfort zone and discovering what the day is going to bring, and really that adventure side of things as well. Another thing I discovered was don't react if things don't go to plan. So you know, when certain situations came up that I got quite frustrated about with particular people that I wasn't really overly impressed with, or whatever, or you know, certain conversations that came up and so on, I would, you know, sometimes react and get quite upset and frustrated and yell and scream and carry on, right? So what I made sure, so what my plan is to make sure is that I take a deep breath, and that I respond in a way that keeps me calm. So rather than getting really worked up about it, I'm actually going, right, okay, just step away, take a deep breath, breathe, just let myself relax. Now, if I don't want to make a comment, I don't have to. Okay, because sometimes, like I find with certain situations, if I make a comment, it gets me all upset again. So the thing is I actually mentally step away. Okay, reading out my values, my principles, my daily mode of operation is really important to me, because when I do that, I'm very focused, I'm very zoned in, I really work on achieving my goals for the day, and also my ultimate goal. So all the things that I'm doing throughout the day is going to help me achieve my ultimate goal. So I find that when I read those, it gets me pumped and fired up, and really gets me to focus, you know, heavily in what it is that I need to do on that day. Another lesson that I learned about myself was not to be judgmental. So there's particular people in my life that I can be quite judgmental about, and I know when it's coming up, and I instantly react, because there's specific people that I'm just not impressed with, and I instantly react when they make a comment, or I, you know, instantly make a comment when, you know, my husband's talking about them or whatever. Instant. Right. And I get really annoyed with myself when I do that, because I keep going back to that old pattern that I was doing before, whereas I made sure that in my mind, I was like, okay, no judgment, no judgment, no judgment. But here I am, I'm still judging, you know, particular people. And I was like, oh, gee whiz, you know, like I can't keep doing this, right? So what I have to make sure is that, again, I don't react. I don't even respond. I take a deep breath, I step away, and I have no judgment. And I keep reminding myself, because that's even in my daily mode of operation, my values, my principles, is that I don't judge people. I don't judge most people anyway, but there was particular people that I'm quite judgmental about, and I want to make sure that I'm not behaving in that way, because it's not moving me forward, and all it's doing is it's reverting back to an old pattern that I really don't want in my life. Okay, so another one was being open to learning new lessons. So I love learning, but I don't necessarily do it every day. So I need to make sure that I schedule that in and be open to learning something, a new skill, or something new piece of content, or something new that's going to benefit me and my tribe and my family and so on, so that really moving forward, right? So we're not standing still. So I find too that when I'm focused, I don't get emotional, I stay in the moment, and I actually work on in that mental state is staying focused. So things that come through, you know, like I was talking about being judgmental, or I was talking about reacting or responding to certain situations, I tend not to do that when I'm focused. It's like, you know, the words float through, but ding, they just get knocked off, ding, they get knocked off again. So it really doesn't affect me when I'm really focused in. I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't get distracted. I love it too with the momentum. Like once I start working and I'm really working on my goals throughout the day and so on, I find that when I'm doing it day in, day out, I find that there's a good momentum build. So I find that like when, for example, you know, like I said, I've just been away. So I was actually away for a month. First 2 weeks was a golf tour, so I was working, but the second 2 weeks I was holidaying, and I found that what I had got out of my routine. So therefore, when I was out of the routine, I wasn't as focused and zoned in of getting, you know, specific things done. I tended to go, oh, well, you know, let's just enjoy being in the moment, learning, you know, being in a new environment, learning some new things along the way, and you know, we'll sort it out when I get back. But the problem is when I take a break, I know it takes me some time to get back into the momentum build again. So you may find that too. You may find that when you go away, you know, you have a holiday or you go to a different environment and then you come back home, it's hard to get back into some routines. It's hard to get back into what your structure was and so on. That's okay. That's all part of you transition back in. So don't worry that if that happens and it takes you some time to get back in. It does for me too. So I now, rather than fight the process, I actually allow the process to now happen so that I focus on, okay, you know, I'll just do what I can today and get as much done as I can, but I'm just going to just ease myself back in, and eventually the momentum will start to kick in, pick up, and then off I go on my way again. Okay, so I love setting goals and really having a plan in place and working towards what it is that I want to achieve. So for me, it keeps me focused, keeps me zoned in. I find that if I don't have a plan, I tend to just be, a bit wishy-washy. I'm not very productive. I come across I might be busy, but I'm actually not very productive at all because I don't know what I'm working on. So I need to make sure that I always have a plan in place so that I know that if I've got that plan, I'm working, I'm going to achieve what it is that I want to achieve, and I'm not distracted, okay? Because the big thing is we don't want to be distracted, especially when we're really working on things that we want to achieve in our lives. Okay, so there's just two more that I'm going to share with you. So another one is I must do the work, because you know what, if I don't do the work, it's not going to get done. I'm not going to create the opportunities for myself. So if I don't put it out there, nothing's going to happen. So I understand that I need to make sure that, again, it always comes back to being prepared, having the structure, having a plan, really pursuing my goals and what it is that I want to achieve. And that's what I've discovered by tracking those emotions over that period of time. Okay, and finally, having a mental rest. So a lot of people talk about, oh no, you just got to, I talked about momentum and all of that, but if you understand how you operate, because I understand how I operate, this is what I used to do. And I've done this for many, many years, up until probably the last 2 to 3 years. I'm much better at it. But what I would do is I'd work really hard for about 6 weeks. I'd sort of hit a burnout, so I'd work like all day, all night, have minimal hours of sleep, train, eat the right foods, do everything, bang, bang, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to get this done, I've got to achieve this, da-da-da. And I'd find that I'd be able to do that for about 6 weeks, and then I would collapse. And I would be mentally not capable to actually do anything. So I actually wouldn't do any work. I wouldn't be working on my goals for 2 to 3 weeks because I went into recovery mode, simply because I wasn't taking breaks. And what I found, because I wasn't taking breaks, you waste 2 to 3 weeks trying to recover, and then you start to build the momentum, and then here we go, 6 weeks full on, and bang, same thing, hit burnout. Now, I did that right through my sport. So my sports career in tennis, I did that through my sports career in golf, and I have done that also with all my businesses that I've had along the way. So I've had a golf coaching business, a tennis coaching business, sports skills for kids business, same thing, bang, really work flat out, and then bang, hit the wall, right? You think I'd pick up on that? It took me many years to figure that out, and it was actually my husband said, you know what, you got to take some time out, you got to have a break, you got to give yourself a mental rest. And I was like, oh no, I don't need to have a mental rest, I can just keep going. What do I need to have a mental rest for? You know, I just keep pushing, you know, because that's what everybody says. You got to keep pushing, you know, work through the barriers and all of that sort of stuff. But if you're not making it through the barriers and you keep hitting the wall and you keep collapsing and falling down, something's not right. So you need to make sure that you re-look at it. Now, what I did to re-look at it was go, you know what, I think I am going to have to take some days off. I think I am just going to have some complete mental breaks. You know, even when we'd go away on holidays, it's like, no, you can't take your golf clubs. What? No, have a complete break from everything, you know? And so what I make sure I do now is I have a complete mental break. So 1 to 2 days, 1.5 days, I actually don't do anything to do with work. I don't look at my emails, I don't look at social media, I don't do any work on the business. I might read a book. I might, you know, I love training and exploring. I mean, look at, this is beautiful out here, isn't it? So I love going, you know, on exploring new territories and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So it's about shutting down, giving yourself a break so that when you have given yourself a mental break, you give yourself that space and new ideas come to you. Now, when you're working really hard on achieving goals and you just, you know, you keep powering through, there's no mental space there to be creative, to really think about what it is that you need to do for your next step, because maybe things aren't working right now. You'll be able to clear your mind to be able to give yourself some new strategies or try something new to help you move forward. So it's really, really important to give yourself a mental break. Have a break, you know, because when you have that break, you go back into your business, your sport, your career, much more clear, and then you have the energy, right? Because I've talked about energy in a previous show, but you have the energy to then move forward, right? And that's one of my, you know, my 3 major words is energy. That's number 2. So I love adventure, energy, and passion. So those are my 3 words that I live by. But you need to have the energy. Now, if you burn out, you don't have the energy, you can't be productive, you can't achieve what it is that you want to achieve. Can you? You can't. It's just not possible, right? So you want to make sure that you're having that time out. Okay, well, how'd you find that? Very interesting, wasn't it? It's very interesting to know that you can track your emotions. It's all about being more aware of, you know, how you're operating. And then once you know how you operate, how you respond, how you react, what motivates you, what demotivates you, then you go, okay, well, this is what I need to make sure that I'm working on, so I'm producing this way. This is how I need to be responding, so I'm doing this, so I'm not falling back into an old pattern. Remember I told you about a pattern about me being judgmental about, you know, some particular people in my life. And I want to make sure that that doesn't happen, right? Because we're not perfect, right? We want to make sure that we keep working on growing and learning and being the best that we can become. So that's why I really believe that it's important for you to track your emotions so that you're more aware of actually what's going on. By you being more aware of what's going on, guess what that does? It enables you to then move forward, okay? It enables you to create new strategies and to help you to achieve what it is that you're looking out to achieve. I know I talk about it a lot, but this is the journey that we're on. We're all out here not just trying to survive. We really want to achieve something great in our lives. It doesn't have to be for millions of other people. It doesn't have to be for, you know, friends or anything. It can be just for yourself. But in order for that to happen, what's the one thing we need to make sure that we do? Create the awareness, right? So what I challenge you to do is I challenge you to track your emotions for the next, let's say the next 20 days, okay? I want you to challenge your emotions, track your emotions for the next 20 days. And before you start, I want you to leave a comment down below. And I'm going to come back later on and we're going to talk about if you tracked your emotions and where you're at with them, what you've discovered, because I want to hear from you, all right? I want to hear from, I want you to share with me what's actually made you more aware of how you operate and also how you want to be operating in the future and what your plans are. Okay, so I look forward to hearing from you. So just take massive action and really go after your dreams and live big. So have an awesome day, and I'll hear from you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.